Hey everybody, it is the middle of January and I thought it would be a great time to talk about what I've read so far in January. It's a lot easier if I split up my reading into two halves and so I don't have to have one big long video. So that's kind of how I want to proceed for the rest of the year. Tell me if you like it in the comments as far as splitting it up. Also, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for the comments that you have been doing. The likes and subscribes are really fun too. And yeah, like I said, comments are my favorite. I really love enjoying continuing the conversation with you guys and figuring out what you like, what you want to know more about, and those kinds of things. So that said, I will go ahead and dive in with what I've read so far in the month of January. So first up is The Imitation Game, Alan Turing Decoded, and it's by Jim Ottaviani. He's the one who did the graphic novel on Drowned City, Hurricane Katrina, New Orleans. And this is a graphic novel of Alan Turing. If you watch The Imitation Game with Benedict Cumberbatch, that was based on this story. And yes, I enjoyed this book quite a bit. Since I already knew the story, I didn't feel like I got as much out of it. I think there's another book called Enigma, maybe, which talks more about the details of it, and I think maybe I would have gotten more out of that. I like the artwork in it, and if you're not familiar with Alan Turing, this is an excellent option. Pretty quick read, so if you want to pick it up before seeing the movie, then that's, you know, a great idea. So yeah, good stuff. Next up is another short one, and it's How to Build a Museum by Tanya Bolden. Now, this I am super excited about. It's the National African American Museum that has started up in the Smithsonian kind of mall area in DC, and I can't wait to get to go out and visit. I've listened to some podcasts on NPR talking about them forming the museum, and getting to read this book was just phenomenal too, because it's one of, I think, the first museum, at least from the Smithsonian, that they've had to erect the museum while also assembling the collection. And it was so neat to hear people's stories about how they found the different artifacts, what they decided to include, how they came up with the design elements. I love going to museums. Like, love going to museums. And so I appreciated learning that. I'm really excited. Hopefully I'll get to go in the next couple years to visit with my kids. So yeah, if you are headed to DC and you've been to the African American Museum or you're planning on going, I would love to hear in the comments what stood out for you, because I'm, yeah, super excited about it. And again, it's a super short book. I read it in an hour, so. Here's another graphic novel. It's Everything is Teeth by Evie Wild, illustrated by Joe Sumner. And this is kind of a different book. It's about a girl's like upbringing, childhood in Australia. And everything in here is kind of fun illustrations, except for the sharks are very detailed. And it's just talking about this girl's upbringing, and she was obsessed with sharks and the danger that they kind of posed, as well as, yeah, how she interacted with her family members, thinking about sharks when she went to the beach to see like sharks that had beached up, and seeing different, I don't know. I think this is probably a lot more poetic than I would give it credit for. I thought the illustrations were good. The writing was solid, but I felt like there were layers underneath it that I just didn't really connect with for me. But I know a lot of people really enjoy this. If you're a little bit more into metaphors, I don't know, pick it up. But yeah, it was nice, but it wasn't like my favorite book ever. Now comes some books that I'm really excited about. I finally finished Cold Comfort Farm by Stella Gibbons. This is a classic, and what I kind of like about it is it's a spoof on kind of the 19th century women chick lit novels like Jane Austen and the Bronte sisters and all that. And they even mention the Bronte sisters in here. The characters are quirky and silly. It's the main protagonist basically needs a project to do. She writes to several relatives to see who will let her come stay with them. And whilst she is at the Cold Comfort Farm, she kind of tries to fix different people. And it's just funny hearing some of the shenanigans. Some of the lines were really witty and clever. And yeah, I got a kick out of hearing her interactions with people, especially the man who was writing a novel about the Bronte brother and how he really wrote the all of the works that the Bronte sisters were getting credit for, and all of his old-fashioned ideas about women and writers. And it was funny. And it's a pretty short read. It's a classic. So if you're looking for a classic that's humorous, Cold Comfort Farm is a cute one to start with. This one was kind of a weird sci-fi speculative. I don't know. It was written kind of in our time frame world, but there are human clones. It's a human clone project that has started, and the idea behind it is if someone had, I think there's like there are four main characters that have kind of gotten either in an accident or have a brain tumor, and they will die. And so what they do is they cut a bit of their brain, implant it into a human clone that has been grown into like adult size, and then do the research, see how it goes. And so it's told from these four different perspectives about their lives, what their lives are like after the transplant, if their muscles remember how to do certain things, if they make the same kinds of choices with addictions or personality relationships. And it was really interesting. It's by Jessica Chiarella, and I heard about it on one of the Book Riot podcasts, and it was just it was very unique. I thought it made me think about just the idea of, our bodies and how much of our personality resides in our body that we think it's in our brain, but it's actually in our body. So there's the kind of cool things to think about. It was a quick read because I kept wanting to know what was happening to everybody and how it would all turn out. And of course, bad decisions people would make. So that's And Again. Yeah, it was good. I'd recommend that one. And the other two that I have started and I've not finished, but I'm hoping to finish within the next week, I'm doing as buddy reads. This is not Gone with the Wind. That's not coming up yet. Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. And I'm thinking this might become my new favorite book. John Steinbeck is owning a lot of my heart as of lately, and you can see several things that are bookmarked. I've written in several margins. I've underlined a lot. Steinbeck has a great way of describing settings and characters that make you feel like you are in the dirt with them. You're seeing their rawness and their grit and what makes them tick. I'm loving the theology behind some of these things. I feel like he could write my Bible and I would be totally happy and satisfied with some of his ideas about humanity and what makes a soul, what makes a life, what makes things good or bad, or if there's really even a good or bad. And yes, so if you've not picked up John Steinbeck, pick him up. Maybe start with Of Mice and Men. It's short, but Grapes of Wrath is becoming a quick favorite of mine. And I'm loving doing Voxer buddy reads with Tina. So that's exciting. And this one is Men We Reap by Jesmyn Ward. And this is another buddy read I'm doing with Patrice. And this is... I read The Fire Next Time by Jesmyn Ward. This is her second book. Salvage the Bones was the first. And I'm planning on getting that as well and reading through all of her books. This book is about her childhood growing up in, I think, Gulfport, Mississippi, or at least that area. And she loses to death 5 men that she cares about within a total of 5 years. And so she's talking about their lives and how they are lost. It kind of makes you think about what's lying behind the surface of why we lose people. Who's responsible? Are we responsible? And what can be done to stop it? Her writing is so different. Again, you feel like you are sweating there in an addictive stupor with the men as they are taken from life. You feel like you were there at the funeral, grieving for them, and I don't know. I'm really also enjoying this one. So that's Men We Reaped by Jesmyn Ward. I would recommend picking this up as well. So I have some reading hopefully I'll get to do tonight and tomorrow. My husband's been kind of sick, so I've been trying to kind of balance everything. But that's what I'm reading so far this month. What have you been reading? What are you liking? Yeah, what's your favorite part of January so far? Trying to focus on the positive, and yeah, talk to you guys later. Bye.